No to the but. You don't like the but?
Well, it doesn't really make sense. The beach was sandy, but the sea was warm. Perhaps we should use and.
I see what you mean. Okay, and it is. Good. The beach was sandy and the sea was warm. Do you think it's safe for me to write it down now?
Oh, yes.
No more but. No more and.
Although... nothing. Anyway, never mind about all that. What am I going to do that's bold, courageous, and heroic?
Hang on, maybe Dad's given us a clue. Whiff of smoke, rumble in the distance, flames licking around the... Whoa, this is going to be heroic with knobs on! Volcanoes!
So, let's give a warm welcome to Mr. Jeff Rickard, the man whose wonderful work breathes life into everyone's favourite comic book character, Captain Crimson!
Thank you, Miss Clough. Thanks. Hello. I've Captain Crimson is a special. Well, he's a bit of a hero of mine. Hero. Yes. Yes. Pencils. Now, pencils are good because you can. Draw, right. You can always draw with pencils, and luckily we've got pencils. So let's draw. Hey, right. So a couple of lines here, a swoosh of cape here, a bit of shading, a smudge, a wink, a handshake, and health and happiness, people. It's Captain Crimson. Right, who wants to know how it's done? Well, you'll need one of these, some of that, and plenty of this.
Right, so the volcanoes on the island are about to erupt, and the Margation chief has asked Captain Crimson to save his village. Why don't we say something like... Everyone else hurried to help the villagers, while Captain Crimson tried to think of a plan. I know. Why don't you add, it would have been much easier if only they'd had more time.
Sounds good.
It sounds good, but it isn't quite right. Why not? Because it's not would of, it's would have.
Is it?
Yes, it only sounds like would of when people say it quickly. Would have, would have, would of. That's why it sounds like of. So it ought to be. It would have been much easier if only they'd had more time. That's right.
I know Optic would blame himself. He'd say, I should have checked those... Oh, does that work the same way?
Yes.
Oh, I get it. So Optic says, I should have checked those volcanoes before we landed.
And then you'd say, it could have happened to anyone.
Naturally. I'm a truly generous leader.
Did I ever tell you about the time that the captain and his crew stopped off for a little relaxation and rest on Margation 12?
No.
Beings travelled from all over the galaxy to this perfect astral island, where the tropical beach of pale green sand ripples down to meet the lapping waves of the peach-coloured sea. Now, on this particular day, the captain and his crew had parked their spacepods in the shade and were soaking up a few rays. The sun shone,
but there was a slight breeze. The beach was sandy, and the sea was really warm. In the distance, a cluster of volcanoes began to grumble, and there was a whiff of smoke in the air. Perhaps the day wasn't going to be quite so relaxing after all. Widget thought he could smell smoke, but he couldn't see where it was coming from. Then he looked up and saw the volcanoes, with flames leaping from their peaks. The volcanoes are about to erupt! We must save the Margations.
And their thoughts. Save us, Captain Crimson! Save us!
Captain Crimson had to think fast. The Margations village was about to be buried in boiling lava. Go and lead your people to safety while we divert the lava flow. Maybe I should go with him.
I would go, but I ought to stay and help you.
I could go. Everyone else hurried to help the villagers, while Captain Crimson tried to think of a plan. It would have been much easier if only they'd had more time.
I should have checked those volcanoes before we landed.
It could have happened to anyone.
First Officer Optic suggested that they should blast a hole in the far side of each volcano.
It could slow down the flow.
But it would not stop it.
As the lava blistered its deadly way towards the Margatians village, Captain Crimson was suddenly struck by an idea.
Quick! To the landing posts! This will be a dangerous operation, people, but it's the Margatians' only chance.
Courageously, the crew flew straight towards the blasting heat of the volcanoes. The metal on their landing pods began to melt. Just when the crew couldn't take any more, the captain bellowed the command. Now! The powerful surge of the thrusters blasted a ditch in the sand. In the nick of time, the deadly lava was diverted.
Captain, you're a hero. That could have been a disaster.
All those Margatians would have died.
I should have known you'd save us. How can I ever thank you?
No need for thanks, Chief. It's all in a day's work.
Oh, thanks very much, Mr. Rickard.
Oh, please, call me Jeff.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. No, you really were fantastic.
Oh, no. Kind of you to say so, Miss Clough.
Oh, please, call me Gina.
Oh, thank you, Gina.
That had been 2 galaxies beyond smoke when he'd come back from the library. Not only had his talk gone down an absolute storm, but now he thought Gina might like him, and he was planning to ask her out. The captain wasn't so cheerful though. The story about being on holiday with his crew had made him feel terribly homesick. There was no doubt about it. He was really starting to miss the Galileo.
Could it be that Jeff's finally going to ask Gina out? Would she go if he does? And should she ask him if he doesn't? Could you keep Captain Crimson out of trouble on a picnic? Would you be mad enough to take him in the first place? And should someone have warned him not to wear his red cape near a bull? Find out next week on Captain Crimson. Watch this space!